course, I wanted to wish you a Happy New Year. This is 2018 and you're also very lucky to have made it to this year. I hope that you get all your wishes to come true. I hope that you work hard to achieve all of your dreams, and I plan on doing the same. So today I wanted to talk about fashion, more my history into how I got into fashion and going forward how I want to proceed with it. If you're interested in that, stay tuned. So with this new video starting off 2018, I wanted to talk about fashion, which has always been my first love. And as time goes on, I realize more and more that I can't get away from it. Not that I'm trying that hard, but I just realize that sometimes you just have to follow your passion, however difficult it is. And even if the path is not clear as to how you're going to get there, you owe it to yourself to at least give it your best shot. This is what I'm making 2018 about for me. So just to give you a little bit of my fashion history, I started in fashion when I was a teenager. I think I had my first client when I was 16 years old, and I still remember exactly what I made for them. It was a red pantsuit, high-waisted, with a V, and I think it was pleated off to the side, and then it tapered off. It was a 3/4 pair of pants, trousers, and it ended right at the sheen level. So it was kind of this baggy, and I still remember the exact fabric. It was cotton that I used to make it, and she absolutely loved it. I'd made one for myself, which is how it started out, and these were my sister's friends that they'd come home to spend some time with us, and they asked me, where did you buy your pants? And then when I said I made it myself, they were like, could you make one for me? And I started making for my friends, and it just went that way, and it grew and grew, and before I knew it, it kind of became this huge deal. And there I was designing stuff and making for the neighborhood. So that's how it all started. How did I gain the skill? My mom taught me everything I know about fashion. I learned from my mama. She eventually did take me to college, so I got that as a backup. But she gave me the basic skills. She taught me how to make a pattern. She taught me how to alter a fashion, how to alter a garment. She just showed me, she passed on all her skills, everything she had. She worked full-time, but she stayed home to raise all of us first. And then when my youngest brother went off to school, she resumed working. She's a teacher. She's been a teacher her whole life. So she taught me everything I know about fashion, which is what started me on this journey. Now, I've always tended to look at it just as a hobby because that's how my mom presented it to me. It's something I did in the intermediary while waiting to go to college, which I eventually did, and I studied accounting. So I always looked at fashion as something you do off on the side, and that's exactly how I handled it. It was something I did off to the side. I went to college. In the evening when I came home, I made an outfit for myself. I made an outfit for my siblings, for friends. And even when I graduated and I started working in accounting, I continued doing fashion off to the side. But I still always saw it as just a hobby. What is strange is that eventually the money I was making doing fashion surpassed the money I was making as an accountant. And eventually at some point when I had way too many clients to handle the load, I had to make a call and I quit my job to focus just on the fashion. But I still saw it just as a hobby, and I don't know why. It was paying my main bills, and yet I never really quite took it seriously. Fast forward to, my life in Belgium. I now had a child, and I had to, figure out how to be a responsible parent and take care of him. And I remember being presented with the opportunity to go back to college and, add to my education. And I could pick to either go to St. Elizabeth School, which is one of our major fashion schools in Europe. It's located in Belgium, in Antwerp. Or I could choose to go on and do finance. And once again, I guess just being careful, I decided to go with finance because I always knew that is where the bread and butter is. That is a guaranteed income. You're always guaranteed a paycheck, and for some reason I thought that would be the safer route to take. But I still did make a few, designs. I was making wedding gowns by that time. I was making clothes for, wedding parties, the whole entourage. But eventually my studies got so intense and I had to pick one, and this time I just picked to focus on accounting, and I didn't make any more outfits for probably 10 years, if not longer. I just didn't make any more outfits. But I think it always stayed at the back of my mind that I've abandoned my true passion, I've abandoned my true gifting, and I always intended to I never really intended to get back into it. I just buried the feeling. But I couldn't help but feel I'm in the wrong career. But for some reason, I just never took fashion seriously. I guess they say what comes easy to you, you don't take it seriously. And since it came easy to me, I didn't see it as something I had to strive on. And for some reason, we're made to believe if you're not striving and you're not giving it your all, it's not serious enough. It's just a hobby. So that's kind of how I tended to look at it. Fast forward to my moving to the United States to join my husband, and he was very insistent that I follow my dreams, that I follow my passion. But for some reason, I resisted the thought again. I don't know why. He bought me like everything I needed, the sewing machines, the fabrics, everything. But I tried to make a few things here and there, but my heart wasn't in it. I remember thinking I do want to get back into fashion, but not the same way I did it before. I didn't know what other format I could do it within. I just knew it's a different time, we've got the internet, we've got social media. I kind of want to do it, but I'm not sure how I can leverage what we have in the marketplace to do it in a different way. I also did not want something that would keep me locked in one place, because I really wanted to be free, to be able to travel, to be able to change countries, to change locations, and not be bound by a boutique that I've opened that now I have to service. So I remember putting that aside, and once I got my paperwork in order, I went back to work in finance. So I worked in finance, and I kept climbing the ranks. I kept adding to my education. But the whole while, I just kept having this nagging feeling that fashion was calling me. So eventually, I ended up resigning from my job after an inciting incident. An inciting incident is an event in your life that makes you question all the decisions you've made up to this point, and if you're living your most authentic life, your best life. And at that point, I think I decided I need to pursue my true passion, and I handed in my resignation. And I came home. I remember taking one room and just turning it into like my fashion studio. I put up all the pictures that would inspire me, brought out all my gear, and I kind of started to think it through. But as fate would have it, I took to the road again, and I found myself back in Europe. We traveled for my graduation and to spend Christmas with a family in London, and then I ended up staying much longer than it wasn't really planned. It was a spur of the moment decision, and that, as you all know, ended up giving me a brand new career in the aviation industry as a flight attendant. It was something I stumbled into, and I remember thinking, well, this will do. So I took the job, and I eventually relocated back here to the United States. So now I have all this free time that I realize it's time to really get back into fashion, just because the job I'm doing now allows me the opportunity to actually focus on other things, on fashion. So that's what I intend to do. I think I got discouraged looking at fashion because every time I'd go to the store, I found the clothes were so cheap that I would wonder to myself, like, if I can buy this for this much, it would cost a lot more if I were to make it for myself or something like that. So why would I make it if I can just buy it this cheap? And I started to think, well, there can't be a market for people like me anymore, because clothes are so cheap on the marketplace nowadays. And even myself, when I was over in Europe, as I said, it wasn't a planned trip, so I had to buy clothes, and I did indulge in picking up pieces from all those regular stores like Zara, H&M, and I bought quite a few things. But it didn't take long for me to realize just how poor the quality was. It wasn't really they don't make them like they used to. We say that a lot, but it really is true. I just did not like anything I'd purchased. I noticed the fabric was cheap, the workmanship wasn't good, the designs were amazing. There is really like a huge improvement in that area, but in terms of quality, it wasn't good. So I just didn't understand how they could be that cheap. Well, probably that explained why they were that cheap, because the quality wasn't good to begin with. The workmanship was not at par. but that kind of made me start to realize like something is happening within the fashion industry that I'm probably not aware of. Of course, a bit of research, showed me about, educated me on the changes within the fashion industry. I came to learn about fast fashion, and that explained everything I had experienced for myself. And I started to wonder, well, what happens now? Do we not make clothes like we used to make them anymore? Are they no longer going to be durable? And then I found a whole other world of slow fashion, sustainable fashion, eco-friendly fashion, something I didn't even know existed, but I had yearned for in my heart, because every time every time I'd go to touch a fabric, I would like be taken aback just how bad it felt. It didn't feel like it was good quality. And so I even wrote a blog post about it. If you like reading, I will put a link below. I think it was sometime in October or November. I wrote a blog post about just what is happening within the fashion industry and how is the quality of our clothing becoming so poor. Because fast fashion sells fashion as a disposable commodity, something you buy, you use once or twice, and then you throw back out. And that is taking quite a toll on the carbon footprint. In fact, as everybody throws the facts around, fashion is now the second largest pollutant in the world, right behind the oil industry. So that explains a lot of why everything is happening the way it is. And I've just had such a crisis, like, how can I add to this? How can I make one more outfit when the world doesn't need one more outfit? I don't need one more outfit myself. I'm a minimalist. I'm trying to purge my wardrobe. I purge my wardrobe every so often. I'll probably do it next week when I'm home. I always trying to get down to the bare minimum. How do I justify making one more outfit, especially when there's so much out there already? And I found that the same thing, like when I started to purge my wardrobe, you'd be surprised the first clothes to go were the clothes I had bought when I was, traveling around. The cheap clothes I had bought were the first ones to go because they didn't hold up well. They didn't hold up at all. Like one or two runs through the washing machine, they'd come out looking all raggedy and old. So those are the things I got rid of. And everything else I've kept. I've had it for more than 10 years. I've had it for decades. I keep my clothes for a very long time because back then the quality was good. So I think I've resolved that crisis of conscience by deciding that how do you tackle one evil? Well, I think you have to provide an alternative. So the alternative to fast fashion is going to be sustainable fashion, produce it a little bit more slower, make it durable, make it good quality so that when people wear that, they don't have to keep buying because it lasts a lot longer, it holds up better under, every wash. It might be a lot more pricey because you're using better fabric, you're using better everything, but then the price per wear is more than fair just because you'll end up using this for a much longer time as opposed to if you buy a cheap piece that you then have to dispose of after just a few wears because the fabric doesn't hold up that well under any kind of strenuous washing or just under the normal wear. The normal wear and tear of the fabric is not that good as compared to a quality fabric. So that's how I've managed to reconcile that, and I think that I would like to get back into fashion and see what I can do with that, because that really is my passion. That's what I want to do. So last year, I think March last year, I did a video on minimalism, and I think I was if you watch that video back, you'll actually realize I'm going through the motions of coming to terms with getting into fashion or not, and how do I justify all these clothes, especially as a minimalist. I'm about to do a second purge again, and I'll probably record that for you because I do want to pare down my wardrobe to just the bare essentials. But I still want to be able to make fashion because it's something I enjoy doing. And I do think an alternative to fast fashion is needed. And that will probably come from small designers here and there. A few of us go together to make the whole. Eventually, we can present an alternative so people don't have to rely on just fast fashion, especially as we keep growing and we make it affordable for the masses. That really is the goal. So I do plan to do this out here with you guys. I do plan to start a fashion brand under the Grey Dynasty moniker. I do hope you stay along for the journey, just to see the journey of creating something from scratch, and how I'll show you the challenges, I'll show you the victories, I'll show you some of the issues I'm grappling with, and we'll grow together. We'll see what we can make of it. So I'll be sharing everything I learn, and I hope you find some value in that. I will also be exploring other fashion related topics, things I unearth as I start on this journey, as I find out more about the world we're currently living in and how fashion affects everything that we do. I just want to explore all topics related to fashion, and every Friday we're going to call it Fashion Fridays. Every Friday I'll try and pop up a video talking about things I've learned, or processes I'm undergoing, or how far I've reached in terms of my research work, and just share the whole journey with you so we can all experience this together, so we can all grow in it together. And I really do hope you stay along for the journey. So thank you so much for being subscribed to this channel. If you're new to this channel, you're watching this for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe. If fashion is something you're interested in, be sure to also turn on notification. That way you get to know when I post a video every Friday related to fashion. So the regular videos that I've been posting, I'll start posting them on Tuesdays, and then Fridays I'll post something related to fashion. That way we'll get 2 videos in a week, and I hope to see you again soon in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.